Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Hearthstone. So, we've got 3 daily quests, a couple to trade out. Hasn't been the best. Let's trade out playing the rogue cards, I suppose. So, these are going to be pretty cheap. The only difficult one is win 5 games with Paladin or Priest, and even at that, that's not going to prove itself to be incredibly difficult. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out where I want my chat. I guess I'll keep my chat on my phone and while we cover the news. We also have a Tavern Brawl. I think. Nope, we don't even have a new Tavern Brawl, which is good. That means I did all the other Tavern Brawls. So we are good to go. Yeah, there's nothing new. So Paladin or Priest games. We're at rank 18, which tells me not to play that. Let's instead... Man, I did not realize... Some of these guys are really far from 500 ranked wins. I was thinking everything was a little bit closer. Here we go. We'll play Arthas in Wild. Ranked play. And let's move forward. Make sure Nightbot is playing. Twitter notifications. Actually, it shouldn't be Twitter notifications. It should just be Twitter.
Arthas versus Troll.
Of course, looking directly at Twitter is gonna get more news, which is not a terrible thought. We want to play cheap cards, but we just kind of want to win too. So we're good. There we go. I guess I'm a little out of sorts right now. Just having not warmed up as much as I should have. I'm a little lost here. Let me turn on the light in my room. That way I have that feeling of being awake.
Speak your peace.
So this deck is built all around having 1 health character, so when you play this, you get Divine Shield.
Back to your homes.
Let's see. Look. Apparently, .hackgu Last Recode is a remake of the PlayStation 2 version of the game, so I'm looking at some shot-for-shot comparisons. And exactly 2. No, it's a video. Okay, so shot-for-shot comparisons in video form. Alright. So, with PlayStation 4 being the 4th in a numbered series, the question, I guess, goes back: how many of those games are worth remaking? In kind of a funny way, if you consider it, there was like 800 games that came out for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and how many of those got remade for the Super NES? Probably none. Let's say that the Super NES had let's just say another 800. I'm not certain for sure. It could have been 1100, it could have been 400. Certainly not a small number of games in either one, but how many of those Super NES things went on to the Nintendo 64? The answer is almost none. We haven't been in business of remaking, at least in this generation of video game consoles, in the next second generation of video game consoles, until very recently. So, with the Xbox One being the third console, it's adding some backward compatibility, but it's not really remaking a lot of Xbox original games besides Halo. Let's just have to play this, I guess. Wow, I'm losing. Well, at least I'm capable of playing. It's really only the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 games that I feel like are going to get heavily focused on remakes, particularly because I don't think they have as much of a lineup as the other consoles. But I don't know how many of those. I guess part of it also is because the Sony PlayStation is so focused on the Japanese games. The idea here of reselling things to the Japanese market is much more ingrained. In their other things, it is totally not unheard of to remake, particularly anime. It's like, here's the DVD, here's the Blu-ray, here's the special edition, here's the limited edition, here's the remastered edition, here's the remastered edition, here's the limited remastered edition. It's not unheard of at all, and so it might just be that Japan as a target market is more willing to rebuy games, where the Western game creators don't want to spend the time to remake things. You can see that with like Shadow of Colossus too. Deal 1 damage. Should have hit that guy. Well, as far as .hack/GU last recode, it looks better. Clearly, a PlayStation 2 version, it's been reskinned for PlayStation 4. However, that being said, it doesn't look amazingly good. I guess the story is interesting enough for them to make a remake. But it does look better, and that's what's to be expected. It doesn't look great, though. Yeah, I already said that. There you go, we have somebody on the chat. Let's see. Darian1038 saying what up. Hey, Darian. Let's see, there's this Switch version of a game called VOEZ. Haven't even heard of it. And yet it has sold 40,000 copies of its physical edition with controller support. It's a digital version right now, and the physical version is going to come out in early 2018 in Japan. What is this game though? Yeah. It's like, let's see, unlike the digital version, which is limited to touchscreen controls and portable gameplay, the physical version will offer controller operation mode that allows users to play the game with buttons as well as in TV mode. Other additional elements are being planned, but have yet to be announced. So, it seems like VOEZ is a mobile game, and it's coming out on the Switch is what they're trying to say. I'm about to lose, but play those cards anyways. There's apparently a way, if 2 people are playing Fatigue Warrior with Dead Man's Hand for them to go back and forth forever. And so in one tournament, one game went for over an hour. And people were incredibly bored by that, and because people were incredibly bored by that, they're asking Blizzard to change the rules. Turns out though, if you make it to turn 90, you end in a draw anyways. So the only rule I think they could probably change is have a more realistic number of turns. If you took it from turn 90 to turn 45, well, depends on if turn 90 is for both turns or one player. I guess is part of the question there. Like, if one player has 30 cards and one player has 30 cards, then there should be 60 turns, and then after that there would have to be another 15 turns per player, and that seems kind of long. So that seems really long. Honestly, I would prefer they fix this by just having a major rule change, where once you draw and you're out of cards, you just immediately lose. I think that speeds up a late game really quickly and makes it incredibly dangerous for you to try to play a late game scenario, because at any point, if you are counting and you have like 2 cards left or 1 card left, and your opponent plays something that makes both players draw 2 cards, you could just win right then and there. And I've wanted that for other reasons for a long time, and I think that would certainly help.
Excuse me, you are
Cease.
on fire.
So we will see what happens, I suppose. Just play
Back to your homes.
and play this. Feels kind of like a laid-back day. Probably because I've been sort of laid back, but I've also been sort of working. I'm going through all of the games that I got for free for Thanksgiving, November, and there's definitely just a level
Not a valid target.
of
Job's done.
bad games that I'm only spending like 30 minutes on, and I don't know if I'm going to really mess up November and have only Hearthstone and these games there, so there might be only 30 episodes, or it'll probably be closer to 25 episodes that air on top of Hearthstone for that entire month. That would allow me to jump forward and just move into December, which would be nice. Maybe every year I should just skip ahead 1 month and have limited content that way. Or maybe I'll just double up on the content and play more games that I've got for free. I have probably enough to do 2 or 3 episodes of some game. I've only found out of maybe 10 to 12 games, I've only found 2 or 3 that I actually want to play. And even though they are something I might play, I really don't have any interest in, or an investment in it, because I didn't purchase these games. Like, so they're just not something I wanted in the first place. A lot of the games are multiplayer, and if they're multiplayer, they're kind of already out. A lot of the games are just old. Some of the games don't work. Some of the games are unplayable, playably difficult. There's one I played that looked really good. It was published by Sega. It looked like it was totally a playable game, but it was just incredibly impossible to actually play because it had QuickTime events you had to do to beat every single enemy, and if you failed the QuickTime events, you just died. You took damage and you probably died, and there was no way of beating the enemies until you figured out the QuickTime events. So by the second level, I found this one QuickTime event that I just couldn't figure out how to beat at all. It was telling me to hold down the A button. I was holding down the A button, and it says, "No, you screwed up."
I wonder.
There's apparently a game out there. It's called Astrologaster. It's an astrological comedy. From the team that made the pop-up book puzzle game Tingami. I haven't heard of either one of these games. But it looks like it's mostly a cell phone game. So, however informative that is. Like, new game out. We're right in the middle of Tokyo Game Show, so eventually I'm gonna scroll into a lot of Japanese games that are gonna be announced. So, prepare for that, I suppose.
We're those who wield it.
Honestly, I would much prefer to see a bad Japanese game or a mediocre Japanese game over a mediocre Steam game that is just released by somebody in the United States or somebody from Russia or someplace in the West, because at the very least the Japanese games borrow / steal from a lot of animes, or they're based off animes, and at least they put some drama in it, at least they put some pride in their animation, even if it is just still images of characters. It's kind of what I came down to when I was testing out multiple clicker games. At the end of the day, I'd much prefer to play Sakura clicker over Time clicker. However, in reality, I've played a year plus later, I've actually played a lot more time clickers, in the sense that I've left it running in the background, because it's a little bit more of a detailed game and has more things you can actually do, but visually it still doesn't look that interesting. An ex-Valve, let's see if we can get the person, the name of the person. Former Half-Life writer Mark Laidlaw, and now, no, that this doesn't have anything to do with him.
This jungle hides many secrets.
What a terrible article, just naming the wrong people. Kyle George has released a new Half-Life mod, available now free. It's called Half-Life Mod Caged. It's a short single-player episode set in a prison. found parts. The reviewers found parts that were so I don't even know what Kyle George. He worked professionally through several studios, including Monolith, into Valve, to work on Team Fortress 2 and Portal 2, Level Down, and then back out again to Guerrilla Games. He's also... So, does he work for Guerrilla Games right now? Or... So, wow, they're really stretching this to say that this guy who used to work for Valve put out a Half-Life mod. He's a video game programmer. How he had time, I don't know, but maybe he doesn't actually work for a video game company right now. Darian asks, what is your opinion on Fatigue Warrior and Strength? I haven't experienced it myself, but it sounds like it is not only yet another meta deck that is going to be very frustrating for people to run up against, and something that inherently people are going to try to play just to but it's gonna kind of like Jade Druid, like people are gonna play it because they think they can win with it. As more people play it, I'm gonna see it more often. As I see it more often, I'm gonna be very frustrated with it. I don't like any late game strategies particularly, and the idea of a strategy that's specifically designed to be post late game is not something I want. Like I was saying before, a Fatigue Warrior strategy works really good if you lose the game the second you run out of cards. If you have to gamble it against that incredibly high risk, then I'd be alright. I'd be like, oh, this guy's playing Fatigue Warrior. As soon as he gets close to running out of cards, I'll play the Murloc that makes both players draw 2 cards, and he'll lose. And then there'd be some balancing. But that's not how Fatigue works right now. Instead, even if you're playing Fatigue Warrior and trying to win, it is somewhat built around the concept of your opponent playing all 30 of their cards and then dying, taking 30 damage from fatigue, which is like 7 turns. 7 or 8 turns after you've run out of cards, which is way too long. Way too long. So, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Reporting for duty.
Here's an interesting bit of news. Let's look at the... Let's see. Darian says, I don't either. Do you watch Rick and Morty? Yep. I definitely have gotten into Rick and Morty. I was a little late into it, though. I only started watching, I think, halfway between the break of the first season and the second season. So there was a lot of people that were talking about Rick and Morty and suggesting it to other people, and I was kind of ignoring it for a little bit. But I eventually did get bored enough to watch TV. Sadly, I'm at a point where I am not very even willing to watch anything on TV because it means I would have to turn on my TV input to my TV service provider, and it's just not on that input by default anymore. It's now always to a computer or to a streaming box to watch Netflix. So that's so like if there is something new and interesting on TV, I'm kind of late to the party, which is fine because that's kind of what I want to happen too. I want to be so late to the party that I see new things on Netflix, and it takes about a year before something shows up on Netflix anyways. Particularly, I've had that experience with Doctor Who because I got rid of BBC America, and by getting rid of BBC America, then the only way I can see Doctor Who is to wait nearly 2 years until it comes. The most recent season is 2 years old and shows up on Netflix. I would say Rick and Morty is pretty good, but it's getting a lot of pressure put on it to be excellent. I think people are slightly overhyping it. This is kind of, I think, what happened a lot to Family Guy and The Simpsons, although The Simpsons was a lot longer ago. Like,
this last act of sacrifice
so when like Rick and Morty did their most recent one, Morty's Mind Blowers, that was really just a clip show, and it takes too long for them to make their episodes like The Simpsons too, and I would have there's almost undoubtedly going to be a point where we say it would have been nice if Rick and Morty had kept itself a little bit tighter and a little bit more a little bit more edited and didn't put in filler parts or just stretch it or just add things. There is that underlying story that they're trying to tell, that they're kind of teasing, but then there's also a main desire just to do random episodic things that don't connect, and they've gone too far into the episodic stories to actually get away from that and not do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have to commit most of their episodes in the next season to tell a linear story. It feels like they're committing most of their stories in this season to an episodic story. And as it gets more and more linear. There's also a fear I have of it being on Adult Swim because there's the Venture Brothers. Like, the Venture Brothers has been telling this incredibly long episodic series, but they take years and years of breaks in between just to show you maybe 6 episodes. So I'm having a very bad experience watching the Venture Brothers, and anybody in maybe 10 or 20 years from now, when that whole thing is wrapped up, they'll be able just to watch it in a roll, one quick run, and barely have 30 episodes to comment on it.
The battle.
Let's see. It's also cheaper just to watch Netflix then. That is the idea. Darian said that. That is definitely the idea, is that I just wanna get to the point where I can get rid of everything except for Netflix, and maybe even Netflix. So little TV, I watch so little TV right now that I would be perfectly fine with it. However, the people I live with wouldn't be fine with it. So that's why I still have it. But my television bill every monthly is the second highest bill, with electricity being the highest bill, and it's totally not the second most used thing. In no way is it worth what I'm paying for it.
Reporting for duty.
Moving back to the news, apparently Palmer Luckey, I'm just going to editorialize here, likes to cross-dress every now and then. So Palmer Luckey is the founder of Oculus Rift, and I kind of hoped that we would never have to talk about him again, because he was also the person that was accused of stealing technology from ZeniMax, the parent company of Bethesda, and several other companies. And so they sued Facebook when Facebook bought Oculus Rift, and they've won, and they've gotten a huge payout. I don't know if they've actually seen any of that money. And then in the trial, Palmer Luckey was very bad at being at seeming honest and straightforward during the questioning, interviewing of him, and so they, I think, pretty much have fired him after they lost the case. It seems like Facebook didn't like him either. He seems to be a real pain to have on your payroll. However, that being said, he's still trying to promote VR, and in his effort to promote VR, that he went to a event in Japan called the AVRS Hinta VR Pool Party with Palmer. So it seems like it was all built around him, if it's in the title. He was there to talk about the application of VR in adult entertainment. I guess particularly in this case, Hinta, which is animated porn entertainment. And he showed up in a blue wig and a black two-piece bikini. I'm unfortunately looking at a picture of this. If I am to describe him, he is what you would call a ruler-shaped body, slightly overweight, but not incredibly overweight. He has a goatee. He has a tan on his arm and is completely untanned at the length of his sleeves. He is, I would say, moderately hairy for a male. And he's sitting here in a black bikini, and to his right is a small, I imagine, Japanese lady in a pink wig wearing the exact same bikini, and she's kind of just an average Japanese lady. Keep in mind, Japanese people are kind of skinny in the first place, and clearly he thinks this is a joke. I don't know if any of that is plays in Japan, because they honestly don't think that way. Like if he was cross-dressing in Japan, there is cross-dressing certainly, but it's, since Japanese people tend to be skinny and it's easier for Japanese males to make themselves appear female, it's kind of a underground, unacknowledged underground. It wouldn't be done outright, and there is, to my understanding, or to my knowledge, no drag queen culture in Japan, where in the West, a drag queen is a person who is dressed as a woman but still isn't really hiding the fact that they're obviously born male and have masculine features. So that's more where he is. And so while Japanese do like to be polite to foreigners, I imagine they are very much thinking that he's just a homosexual and probably saying, look at this weirdo behind his back. Here's another picture time where he's dressed as Quiet from Metal Gear Solid, and in that instance he's wearing a black bikini with black short pants and torn leg stockings. There's the first thing they ever tell you when you're cosplaying is cosplay your own body size. And he's really making a perfect example of this, where he is not cosplaying a character that matches his body size at all. And so if he wanted to cosplay, there are certainly some characters he could play. There might even be a few female characters, but the running theme I'm seeing here is that he just likes to cross-dress or thinks it's funny. So Palmer Lucky has once again tricked me into talking about him. What does any of that really have to do with video games? I don't know. It probably shouldn't have. That was probably not news, if I was to be honest. Yeah. Please disappear, Palmer Lucky, and never show up. You do nothing but cause trouble in the video game industry, and clearly that's what he likes to do. Now, on the thought of hint of VR things, or animated porn VR things, yeah, it's gonna happen, and it will probably sell decently well in Japan, and even a little bit in the around the world. I think there's kind of a prohibitively high expense there, even for niche sexualized products, which have a tendency to be incredibly expensive if you're looking for good quality fuzzy handcuffs and things. Even for that, there's $600 is a lot for a VR system. And I don't know if Japanese people really would want to spend the money on it. But clearly what they're trying to do is they're trying to apply the old adage that Betamax and VHS were at war with each other when they came out many decades ago, and Betamax was not the one that had porn, and thus VHS became the standard for a very long time. However, a ton of things have changed since then. VHS 1 because it had porn, because there was only one other way to see porn at all, and that was going to a adult theater. If there was an adult theater anywhere around you. That's not the case now. Now you can get porn online at any point you want it.
Answer for your crimes. How much?
Well, this game here, Tier Owari to Hajimari no Shinjuku, has been delayed to October 15th in Japan, so it looks like it's probably just a visual novel, PlayStation 4, yeah, game. Since it's not even coming out in the West, I guess that's not very much worth mentioning.
Put your faith in the light. Reporting for duty. The battle.
I thought I was gonna win here, but it doesn't seem like I am. DMM Games announces Hifumi Kono directed The Meritocracy, or The Two Faces of Araris Ruth for PlayStation 4. Okay, not all of that. Not all of that is the name. The Meritocracy, or The Two Faces of Araris Ruth, is a Machiavellian adventure directed by the Clock Tower creator Inafune Kone for PlayStation 4. So, interesting idea. So if I understand this, you're going to be playing somebody in some point of power, probably a king or something, and you're going to be probably competing against somebody else, and you're gonna have to find complicated trickery ways of staying in power and not getting overthrown. Can't lose stars at this rank, but that's fine. I do need victories. If somebody wanted to play me, I would be perfectly fine with that if they want to let me win. Not too many people on right now, though. So we'll just keep playing. Let's see, what else do we have on the news? That's not news. That's that's not really news. I've got a rant, but I'm trying to stay away from it, honestly. Let me double check the chat. Yep. Let's see. The South Park game is now gold. They put out a trailer mocking Kanye's only one music video, I guess. Whatever that is. I don't watch Kanye, so Kanye West, so I don't know. It doesn't matter. I guess the important part of that news is that the game has gone gold. They're done with it. They don't have to make any more edits or changes. And the South Park game previously had a lot of delays, and this game had a lot of delays, so now the people that want to play the South Park game, which doesn't include me, can go play it. or once it is actually available for sale. Nintendo accounts now support two-step verification via Google Authenticator. Probably a good move to use Google Authenticator, although it is worth pointing out that Google Authenticator is actually just a, I believe, open source two-factor authentication algorithm that many different
Speak your peace.
programs use. But Google Authenticator makes sense to be the to be the thing that's recommended. Being open source is a little bit safer, and frankly, I would not trust Nintendo to do anything securely and correctly, because there's just too much craziness.
Reporting for duty.
Oh, if you're sure.
What a bomb.
Let's see, Oddworld Soulstorm is about to come out, and it's expected to be released sometime in 2018. I really tried to get into the Oddworld games. I really wanted to, but Soulstorm actually isn't even a good starting point for people. So,
Winter is
like,
here.
honestly, I think I said this when I tried to play the games. Even the remakes weren't quite good enough. They weren't up to snuff, and they kind of just need to abandon the Oddworld element to it. If the company that makes Oddworld, which I believe is called the Odd Gentleman, or no, it's called Oddworld Inhabitants or something. If they had just done a new series based on that.
Chill out.
Well, no, done a new series that's not based on Oddworld,
Chill out.
but had a lot of the feeling of Oddworld, and just tried to reboot and restart again. I think they would do better and get more of an audience. However, I don't know if they actually know how to make a good game. So I'll keep an eye out certainly for the new Oddworld game, but I'm kind of keeping an eye out with the expectation that it's going to just fail again. Here's a article. It says DDR memory is twice as fast as DDR4 and is slated for 2019. So DDR5 memory has been used in video cards for a while now, and I don't know what the real standards are. So there is an element where like the core DDR4 speed is much lower than what most people are using because they have the extended memory profile. So let's see. Like DDR5 is expected to double the data rates of DDR4 up from up to 3.2 gigabits per second to 51 gigabits per second. No, from 3.2 gigabits per second to 6.4 gigabits per second. So the standard as it's defined is going to be so they effectively doubled it.
That minion already attacked.
Reporting for duty.
And what does that mean? Resulting in twice the bandwidth from up to 51 gigabits per second, which, what does that really mean? 9, 18, 27, No, it would have to be. It seems to be like they're implying that you could have 17 slots of RAM. That the standard allows for that.
The battle! The battle! Answer for your tribe!
It says that the bandwidth goes from 51.2 gigabits up. No, here it is. They've written this sentence so badly. Wow. What they're trying to say is that it used to be the total bandwidth with multiple sticks was 25.6. So if you divide 3.2 gigabits per second into 25.6, that should be 8, or just about 8. 8, 16, 24, plus 8 times 0.2 would make 25.6. So the standard was you could have 8 sticks. Each stick had 3.2 gigabits per second bandwidth in DDR4. And now you can have 8 sticks that are 6.4. Now, is any of this guaranteed? Or is this a minimum standard?
I'll give it a shot.
I don't know. That's the part where we're gonna have to find out. Let's see. The base frequency will be in the neighborhood for DDR5 of 4,800 megahertz or 4.8 gigahertz. So DDR5-48, that's a tick higher than the recently announced DDR4600 memory. And so that's where you get into the complication where you can buy DDR4 RAM that is a lot slower than that. So you might have DDR4 that is only maybe 2200, maybe even 1200 megahertz. So for games in particular, there is a need for more RAM to a certain point. 32 gigabits, 16 gigabits of RAM, probably what a single game needs if you're not doing anything else. But going to 64 gigabits wouldn't be terrible. It's a little crazy to go to 128 gigabits, and I think it's pretty insane to start doing 256 gigabits of RAM, because at the point that you're doing 128 and 256 gigabits of RAM, you're effectively potentially having as much as an SSD. So you could maybe make a RAM drive that held your entire Windows 10 operating system. And inherently having that much RAM doesn't really help you anywhere as much as having more and faster RAM on the video card side. And if we're getting DDR5 RAM in the computer, that probably needs to be balanced with buying a new video card that's going to have DDR6 RAM or extremely high DDR5, a lot higher than what is in your base computer. Video games do like RAM to load levels and things, but at the end of the day, it still needs the video RAM to load textures. So it's not super helpful at extremely high points. Everything is a balance. It's nice to see that they're finally going to DDR5 though, because they took way too long. It should have been done probably 2 years ago. The fact that we have so many different frequencies and the extended memory profile on DDR4 is because the standards organization didn't do their job and get a new standard. That's why we see things like USB Type-C connectors and USB 3.1 and 3.0, and even Linux, as which used to be pretty slow about updating its kernel numbers and things, has gotten faster and better because there's just this forever ground war of getting higher numbers to show you're making progress. I have like 3 things that are gonna do damage to everything. It's gonna clear the board for sure. Moving on to more closer to video game industry. Inside, the game Inside is coming to Switch and iOS. Let's see if there's a date here. Nope, not really. It's just coming. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds execs says he's not happy about Epic Games the way he thinks that Epic Games used PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds to promote Fortnite Battle Royale, which is kind of the same style of game. And they did say something along the lines of they were going to consider pursuing legal options. This is going to be fun. Oh, he survived. Interesting. Like, I think what his argument here is he's trying to make a kind of complicated argument that Epic Games, who develop and sell the Unreal Engine, is now coming out with Fortnite Battle Royale, and therefore this game that they paid royalties to own the engine for the Unreal Engine, the same company kind of has stolen the thunder. Inherently, it's almost a valid argument. It's like this company that makes the engine that we bought and used, and a lot of people buy and use to make games, on the other hand is making direct competitors to our games. And also it's possible that Epic Games had a direct vision of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds code. They may have helped them, they may have worked with them to make the game, so they may have been privy to corporate secrets. Inherently, you would want Epic Games to not compete with people that you're selling the engine to. I don't know if there's anything I just said makes any sense. It's kind of like Epic Games needs to offer to make a non-compete clause in their own engine. That way they have confidence, people have confidence to use the Unreal Engine. And the Unreal Engine is a lot more important than Fortnite Battle Royale. And Fortnite Battle Royale kind of only exists because Fortnite itself is not gonna succeed, and they know it. But Fortnite Battle Royale is not gonna succeed. And here they're saying, he's saying specifically that Epic here used PlayerUnknown's name in promotional material. And on Twitter, like on a video that was posted on Twitter, and they would openly mention that they were fans of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and we wanted to make the this Battle Royale game mode, and that kind of gave the impression that we were officially involved. I don't think this would really stand up in court, but he's not making as insane of an argument as I thought he was. What it was going to be. Like, imagine if you were writing a book and you were using Microsoft Word to write a book, and then all of a sudden Microsoft came out and they published a book exactly like what you had written. It would not feel very good, at the very least. Particularly if Microsoft had somehow seen your book because you saved it in the cloud. Or if your book comes out and people know that it was, and it becomes really popular, and then they just rip it off. It's really two arguments, I imagine. It's like Epic ripped off PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds' success. They wouldn't have made a Battle Royale game if it wasn't for the fact that PUBG was successful. That is obvious. And they were also in a business relationship with PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, so they kind of screwed over their business partner.
How much?
Let's see.
Speak your piece.
How much?
There you go. First win. First win. And we've still got some news. But we've gone 45 minutes too. Honestly though, since all I have is wins, it's time to switch over to the next record. Oh, well, let me wrap up and then I'll just play Darien. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.